الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وأشهد أنه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه الله اليقين. Inshallah, the continuation of the series How to Build the Muslim Family. We know now we reached to the point where before the actual marriage, how to select the neighborhood, what is the character, what it's supposed to be outside home, and what it's supposed to be inside home. And we found out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recommended, and the Sayyidina Muhammad recommended to us the attributes that you have a place for masalla. You have a special place in your home. Everybody knows that this is a place for the prayer. And I said that it is in Surah Yunus. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأوحينا إلى موسى وأخيه أن تبوأوا لقومكما بمصر بيوتا واجعلوا بيوتكم قبلة وأقيموا الصلاة وبشر المؤمنين. That means واجعلوا بيوتكم قبلة. So the Muslim must have a qibla. Allah recommending to us. And I talked about also we need to have a library. Library, where from it? And I talked about the attributes of this library and what is supposed to be in it. And also I talked about that what is the minimum requirement is supposed to be in this library. What kind of a books it's supposed. And it's not going to be only for scholar or adult. Your library should include all the ages. You have to teach your child the Iqra. Iqra is a way of life. It is civic and it is a religious obligation. You have to teach him. You have from the beginning, even color book, whatever that is, to grow up with it. And they have the lawful and forbiddings. They have something about the biography of Sayyidina Muhammad. They have Kutub al-Sira and the Sunnah biography and the Tafsir and. But what is the minimum requirement? That's what I talked about last week. Now we have a family. Now we got in and the family. And also one of the things that I said is Muslim family does not mean man and woman and children. That does not mean that. Muslim family having in it the boundary, it covers the boundary of the parents. Your parents and the spouse parents. And also including a boundary of possibility of, God forbid, refugee, your sister, divorce or widow, somebody coming in bad need. Your home as a Muslim must be welcoming those. There is a place in it for orphan. And orphan is a complete different issue, inshallah. We can talk about how it can be handled as a member of the household, the male or female, and what ages, and all of these things. But Muslim home has to tolerate and to be fashioned to include all of that and to welcome all of that. Now there are some guidelines controlling how those people, the people that living regardless now, who are in that household. There are some guidelines that everybody should adhere to and everybody should listen to. And everybody should, this is going to be the course of action. Like I said earlier, there is a major difference between having a house and having a home. Having a house, yes, you have everything physically there. But you have a people, everybody living in the house have his home. And even in some people coming, transferring to a new job and whatever, some of the big corporation, they have what it called guest house. They don't say guest home, guest house or executive house. People sometimes don't like to live in hotels. They would like to live in a home. So the companies, big companies, rent those or have a contract with those where one or two executives will be provided the service, housekeeping service, and they can live that in a temporary basis till they find out what they want, or they bring their families or what have you. Okay, that is a house. We have a plenty of Muslim house. We don't want that. What we want is a Muslim home, where everybody in it adhere and love and live and love everybody else. The first rule is supposed to be in that house, where there is no compromise about it, and everybody in it is understand. One of the major problems that it happen in homes or the house is all the time between the husband and wife, and even it come later on the children, who is the dominant person, who is the boss, who is the one who take a decision, who is the one who no one will disobey him, or by another word, who is the powerful one. And we lose life, we lose the value of life, we lose mercy, and we lose everything in this battle. And whomever involved in family problems, they know also that it goes in cycles. One in the first year, one after 3 years, one after 7 to 9 years, and one after that after 15 to 17 years. That's if life will keep going. But from day one, Muslim home, who is number one and who is the boss is known. Who is everyone must be obeyed is known. He's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not the husband and not the wife. And not the children later on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the husband and the wife job? To help each other to obey that boss. Help each other to make sure that everything is going on is what is there to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first attribute or the first guideline to building the family, in this case, now we are not building a new family. I'm talking about our family now. These are the guidelines that we can look at it now and we can see, are we applying those or we don't? And if we don't, that's the time for us to apply it now. Is in your home Allah is number one? Because one thing we have to get it straight from the beginning. One point must be understood from the beginning. What distinguishes the Muslim home from any other home is Muslim home, there is no disobedience to Allah in it. There is no disobedience to Allah in that home. Every one of them promoting good and fighting evil to make sure that every single day, every single night, there is no disobedience to Allah in their household. So raising the members of the family and helping adult people to help each other, they need what? Taqwa Allah. You have to have a taqwa Allah. Taqwa you will not something that you can buy. I can buy a book, you can buy a book. But taqwa we have to develop. You have also to have Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a role model. In a lot of time. And that's really make me not very comfortable. When I hear somebody blaming his wife or whatever, the adult, regardless what that adult is, blaming a child, and you say, look to what you did. What are the people going to say about us now? You're going to look bad. If you sit down and analyze what this is statement, who is the boss here? The people. Who you worship? The people. Who you are worrying about approval or acceptance or rejection? The people. That means if the people don't know, is that okay to do? If that means if the people will be happy with it and it is disobedient to Allah, it is still okay to do? No. You tell them, that toddler, don't do that. So Allah will not going to be angry with you. Do that, so Allah will be pleased with you. The word fearing of Allah, loving Allah, looking the acceptance and approval from Allah, it must be grown as a natural instinct in it. If you look, the longest childhood period known to the mankind is the childhood of the mankind. Get me a toddler 8 months, a year, and get a lion 1 year. Get a dog 1 year, or a cat 1 year, and see which one of them going to survive. That's even not try to compare. The toddler barely getting around to walk. The other one has already been hunting and eating blood and eating flesh and doing the whole 9 yards, and maybe getting to reproduce. Why you have this long period of time? Because the holy obligation of the parents, day in and day out, to feed taqwa Allah to their children, like they are feeding them food. They feeding them the respect and the fear and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like they feed their children their food and their drink. 1 day at a time, 1 dosage at a time, and 1 day, and set the role model for them. Another thing we must understand, and must become everybody in the family know, what is Allah's rights? Do Allah subhanahu, we all, kafir and Muslim and other than whatever. وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. If you ask who is the creator, they're going to say Allah. That's not an issue. But do Allah have rights? Do Allah have rights? And what is those rights? What are those rights? Do we all know exactly what those rights are? Are we teaching our children that these are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If we don't, that's a major lack right there. So you have to know and you have to teach the children and whomever in your household what is Allah's rights. Like I said, there is, to accomplish anything, it is a part of the training. Part of the training. Any successful accomplishment, needs 3 steps to be done. Anything to succeed, 3 things must take place. The first thing, clear understanding to what it needs to be done and how it will be done. That does not mean it is done. You need to drive a car. You have to understand how you're going to run the car. The second, you have to have the commitment and the conviction that you will do it. That you will do it. Yeah, I know how the car runs, but I'm not willing to drive a car. Will never drive a car. If I have the understanding and now I want to drive the car and I have the commitment to drive the car, but in reality, when we come to the facts of life, there is a lot of traffic, there is a lot of this, there is a lot of jams. So what I need here, I need to borrow somebody else's experience to tell me how to face the problem of the implementation. And the last stage here, that's where the most of us fail. Most of us having knowledge and having the good intention to do it, but not having the experience to do it. So I have to go through the trial and error myself, and most of the time either I fail and it is, or stop, or whatever. But if I have a backup and wealth of experience to tell me how to avoid, no. 3 o'clock, you don't go to the highway. Take that road further back. Go to that road further back. From this experience, I learn it and I accomplish my goal. So you in your life and my life, we need those 3 steps, and especially the last one. Where I'm going to get the last one? I need the one who's going to tell me, don't go to the highway now. Go to the back road. Or now the time to go to the highway. Leave the back road. Now there is an accident there or there is a jam there. Who is that? قد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. So where is the role model? Right here. عليه الصلاة والسلام. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commending him and say, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, what more you want? He's certified. عليه الصلاة والسلام. So you yourself, your eyes, your direction, to get your ship in and get it in order, you have to ask all the time yourself, what Sayyidina Muhammad, if he is here, would do. And you will never be able to do that if you don't understand who is Muhammad and what is his sunnah and how he behaved and how in different situation he acted and reacted. We have to get very, very acquainted with Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Alayhi afdal salatu wa afdal salam. That's the adult job. But for the youngest in the family, they look at you as a role model. So you are the transition between Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and between this innocent soul that they call the children. You are the transition. You are the one who is responsible for introducing the behavior of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in your household to those children and make Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam behavior to be a part of their instinct, part of their habit, till they grow up and they can comprehend them in their own who is Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and what he will do and what is his sunnah and tradition. That is your obligation. That is not something nice to be done or you have alternatives to do. You want to build the Muslim ummah, you want to build the Muslim family, that is one of the major requirements, the tool to build that structure. Every single member of the family from day one must, and I'm not going to say the word should, I'm going to say the word must know what is lawful and what is forbidden. One of the major dilemma of the good innocent souls that when they grow up in the culture does not really give them a lot of attention. Some of them they learn it. Do this to be good, or what is the lawful thing to do? Okay, fast the month of Ramadan. But no one told them, if you are adult and able and you are a Muslim and you don't fast the month of Ramadan, what will happen? Nobody sat down with them and told them adultery is forbidden. Give it any name you want. The other, I gave some example last week, and it happened. A lot of them, they don't know, they just cannot comprehend the concept. Why alcohol is forbidden? And what does the word forbidden mean to start with? That's a personal decision. That's personal prerogative. That's something that I would like to do. What does that got to do with the belief? If I drink, how that can affect my belief in God? And if I don't drink, how is that going to affect my belief in God? Who had the problem here? Do you think the child got the problem or the parents got the problem? The parents did not introduce, demonstrate what especially the forbidden. Maybe They promoted some of the good that we should do. Pray the month of Ramadan, fast the month of Ramadan, do this and do that and this, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are in trouble, go and pray, so Allah will give you that. So we are a business here. We have a religious business here. We are cutting deals here. That's not what it is. Allah did not create us to cut deals. So how I can blame that child who does not comprehend, he does not see the link between the word of forbidden and believing in God. Who to be blamed? So from day one, everything know the forbidden. Why Allah made forbidden? Speak to everyone on his level. Because that's harmful. Harmful to you and harmful to others. Allah wants you to be safe and want others to be safe. And you can give examples. And how you can ask me to not to start smoking while you are? How you are asking me to not to lie when the phone ring and somebody asking for you and you say, tell them I'm not here. You disqualified yourself to be a source of a role model. And in the area of forbidden, in the family reaction, there is a general sunnah. Sunnah is not the sunnah only of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but it is sunnah kawniyah. Sunnah kawniyah, that means it is an action and reaction. That's like a law. If you ever disobey Allah to please your children or a spouse, the first reaction to act of your disobedience is the rebellion of your children and your spouse against you. Let me repeat it again. If you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please your children or your spouse, the first reaction gonna come from your children and your spouse is a disobedient to you and rebellion against you. Because you yourself went out and from the umbrella, from the cover of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you disqualify yourself to be obeyed. The obey and the rejection is not only the mind, but the heart. When I don't trust you, I will never obey you. I have to trust you. So, you have to know, everyone must know what is right and what is wrong. And once we know what is right and what's wrong, that's a red line. That's a red line. No one cross. Look, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was introducing the prophets and the messengers, he was talking about this. He says, Ni'am al-abd, good obedient servant. He is this, he is that, he is this. But when he came to Sayyidina Ismail, how he described him? وَكَانَ يَأْمُرْ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ. When it comes to this, when it comes to Allah right, when it comes to the acts of disobedience, Sayyidina Ismail have zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. He will not accept it in his household. Sayyidina Ismail Ridwanullahi alayhi will never accept an act of disobedience to Allah in his household. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرْ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ. That case is closed. So knowing what is right and knowing what is wrong is a mandatory requirement. Obviously, to cover all of those, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, it's going to take more than one khutbah, because there are a few guidelines we have to adhere to. But more important than we know them like I said, there are 3 steps. The first step is to know the knowledge. The second step is to believe in it and to have the commitment to do it, to apply it. Number 3 is to accept the challenges, to apply it. Good intention is not good enough, and it's not going to help you to do it. You have to do it to accept the challenges of doing it. And when you accept the challenge of doing it, that's what comes with the value of having a role model, having the help. Even there is American say, it says it takes one child, it takes one village to raise one. It takes the whole entire village to raise one single child. It is not easy. It's never been easy, and it will never be easy. So I want to tell you one thing that you see in nature. It is right outside that door. For any given tree that you see out there, it was at least one single seed. It was under few inches. I'm not going to say foot or anything. I'm just going to say few inches under the ground. If this seed from day one did not have the commitment to resist the gravity, resisted the weight of the dust and the dirt, resisted the temperature and adjust to it, resisted the moist and adjust to it, resisted the air and air quality that it changes every single second. You have a winter, you have summer, you have autumn, you have spring, you have all of that. If it did not resist and kept going, would you see a tree out there? Do you see the amount of effort that is being done by this one single seed to get this tree out there? Please, when you leave, look at the tree and look at it with that dimension and look at it with that meaning. And see ala illah tabarak wa ta'ala. You need a role model and a confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep going. So what I want to say to finish the khutbah, taking care of your family is what life is all about. It is a holy obligation. Part of the holy obligation is you never give up. Give up, desperate, depressed, whatever. These are terminologies. Muslims know the meaning of it. We know the meaning and we know how it feels, but it is completely out of our life. We do not use it. Muslims, they look at any single second as a brand new starting point. As long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there is no one single reason to believe that you cannot change things. If you are working for Him and you are working and asking Him to help you, whatever that is, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. What is missing? فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُ. You listen. You started the call, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let us seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiveness and guidance and blessing. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our home and our families and our children and help us to do our obligation to them so they can grow up as a good Muslim, and help us all with our families to have an understanding to the teaching of the Holy Quran and the teaching of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and apply in our lives. إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وأشهد أنه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه الله اليقين. To sum that part of the khutbah today, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. You're all responsible, regardless what's going on in your home, regardless what's going on with the members of your family. This is the time. This is the time. Today is the time that you get with your spouse and start, and your children, if they are adult, and start to identify clearly who is the boss in that home, who is the one who will never be disobeyed in Allah. Is he the man or the woman or the children, or is it going to be Allah? And unfortunately, there is one thing we're going to have to understand very clearly. That is the first question that you're going to have to answer. And when you answer that question, unfortunately, there are two things you cannot do. You cannot use the word or you cannot use the word and. Either you're going to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or you are not. But you cannot say, I will obey Allah and obey you. It's not going to work. Because if you obey Allah, everything else will obey you. Everything else will fall down. So search in your soul. Search the magnitude of your responsibility. And ask yourself, sit down and talk with your partner. It is a time to sit down and to talk to your partner. We have one responsibility. How are we going to do it? And instead of you are obeying me, you disobey me, neither one of us is qualified to be totally obeyed. We all deficiency. Men have a deficiency, women have deficiency. We are creating the problem, but everyone trying to be the one everybody else listen to. Let us talk. Let us see that we both, it is a temporary arrangement to help each other, to help the offsprings. And after that, it's going to come the day, لا أنساب بينهم. There is no relationship. Everyone will say, nafsi, nafsi. My soul, my soul. Myself, myself. He told me, she told me, he could have, he should have. لا تختصموا إلي اليوم. لا تختصموا إلي اليوم. That's not the day for argument, and that's the day to accuse each other. You have a responsibility, do it. The best way to do it to others, make sure that you are doing it to yourself first, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help. If you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah help will come, and inshallah it will be granted. Let us pray and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all our sins, all our shortcomings, and help us to be good leaders in our home, and help us to understand the teaching of the Holy Quran and the teaching of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and apply them in our life, so we can live in peace and die in peace, and in the hereafter inshallah we'll be in peace and we'll be among the companion of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. عباد الله قولوا لا إله إلا الله تفلحون. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. واذكروا الله يذكركم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وآخر الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا